Hey, what's going on everyone, it's Flaming Colava here, and finally, after months of anticipation and months of hype, Pokemon Sword and Shield finally got released. I've been super excited for this game ever since it got revealed, and even more after E3 when all the national Dex heat started to begin. I was still hyped about the game, it looked amazing from each trailer they showed, and I was getting more and more hyped to play this game. Heck, I even played the game early, twice. Yep, I got to play the game at a convention called EGX and the Pokemon Center that opened for a limited amount of time in London to promote Sword and Shield. And today, I present you my review on Pokemon Sword and Shield. So without further ado, let's get right into today's video. So let's start off with what version of the game I got, since I did not get both games. And I chose Pokemon Shield because I prefer Zamazenta over Zacian, and I really like Galarian Ponyta as well as Alistair, the Ghost type version exclusive gym leader in Pokemon Shield. And I think it's appropriate to start off with the Galar region itself. The map of Galar, it looks very similar to the UK map, which I love, and the map is kind of split into different parts where in the game you have to take trains to get to different parts of the map, as you kind of go in a circle in one area and then you take a train to get to another. This is something that's pretty different to what we see in other Pokemon games, and I like the idea of this. It's kind of a mix between the standard Pokemon region map and the Alola region map, with the map being split into different parts to visit. The towns and cities of this region are beautiful. They definitely look like places in the UK, and even the names of these places sound very UK-like. As a UK resident myself, I found this really neat, and the routes and a few cities give me this historical and industrial look to them, which looks like the UK to me. The music in the region also sounds very UK-like. One of my favourite things about the Pokemon franchise and looking forward to playing the new games is the soundtrack, and with Sword and Shield, it's another great soundtrack for a Pokemon game. You have great themes and they sound like they come from the UK, with some of my favourite themes in the game being all three of the rival themes for BD, Marnie and Hop, the Wild Area theme, the Gym Leader theme, Sonia's theme, and even the theme that plays in Hillbury. Honestly, this game has an amazing soundtrack and I enjoyed every single theme of this game. Not to mention that the Battle Tower theme was made by Toby Fox, who is the creator of freaking Undertale. Like, this dude that made a meme indie game had his own character first get accepted into Smash, and now this, it's insane that this happened, and I'm very grateful he made a track, as Undertale has one of the best soundtracks from any game in history. Now, one thing that the game really lacks is story. One of my favorite things from Pokemon Sun and Moon was the story, and Sword and Shield doesn't really have one. Now, I guess that might be because there isn't an evil team in the game, but it would have been nice to see a good story in the game. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything, but hey, there was still some story with Chairman Rose at the end, but it doesn't really matter too much. In my opinion, Pokemon Sword and Shield have the best characters and some of the best character designs out of any Pokemon game. Sure, Lily is still my favorite character in the franchise, but the designs of these characters are so amazing. They just scream unique to me and they look so different yet so cool. So moving on to the characters in the game, we'll start off with the rivals. Now, I'm someone who doesn't really hate the friendly rivals at all, and that's why I didn't mind Hop at all. He was a great rival and I loved his relationship with the player character, and more importantly his brother, who was the champion of the region. We'll get to him in a bit. Plus, Hop is a lot different from Hal. A lot of people compare him to Hal from Sun and Moon, probably because they literally have the same animations, but I think of him like Barry from the Sinnoh region games. They both have a similar personality, with them being pretty impatient, not to mention I love what they did to Hop in the post game with him wanting to become a Pokemon professor in the future. It was really cool to see him finally have a goal, and he is a great rival, definitely better than Hal in my opinion. Next we have BD, or Bede, I don't know how to say his name. Now, a lot of people have wanted a smug and jerk rival in a Pokemon game return, and we got that with BD. I love how smug this guy is, and I love his battle theme as well. I also kind of felt sorry for him because he got kicked out of the gym challenge, and we learned that he never really had a family, which is pretty sad. BD, after being kicked out of the gym challenge, goes with Opal, the fairy type gym leader, and he basically stays there for half of the game at first, and I didn't really like this, but then we saw him return in the Pokemon League, and we get to see his goal of wanting to become the new fairy type gym leader, which is really nice to see. Moving on to Marnie, she definitely is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character in the game. Right next to Sonya, that is. She was a great rival and a great character overall, and I just love her design. It looks really gothic whilst also being kind of cute, which makes the design stand out in the game. I also love how Team Yell are basically a whole Marnie fan club, and speaking of which, let's move on to Team Yell. Now they definitely are the worst evil team in terms of achievements. That isn't a bad thing, as I actually like Team Yell, but they basically have no evil intentions. They're just a Marnie fan club and are just essentially even worse than Team Skull in the Alola region games. Team Yell are really funny, and I wish we could have seen another evil team in the game, like we did in Sun and Moon with the Aether Foundation, but the next character is kinda related to this, with that character being Chairman Rose. Now this guy basically came up with the idea of the gyms and the Pokemon League in the Galar region, but he also made the Galar Power Plan, so he is a pretty important character in the game's story. Plus, before BD was kicked out of the gym challenge by Chairman Rose, he was actually endorsed by him to take on the gym challenge. Now the chairman wanted to go ahead and summon the legendary Pokemon Eternatus, but he ended up losing just like every other evil team member in the end, and even forgives the player character for doing that. But he was an okay character in the game. He wasn't that bad, but prefers some of the other evil team members. Next up we have the chairman's wife, Olita. Now she didn't really have a personality in the game. She was just kind of there, and she just did what the chairman told her to do, which makes her kind of bland, but she does try to protect the chairman from his plans by trying to stop the player character. Just like the chairman, she seemed like an okay character to me in the game. Next, let's talk about the professor of the Galar region, Professor Magna. Now she probably is one of my least favorite Pokemon professors in the Pokemon game. She barely appeared in the game, and they kind of just throw her into the game just to later on give the role of the professor to Sonya, her granddaughter, and we'll talk about her soon. But Professor Magna definitely isn't my favorite professor. She kinda just seemed like she was there, and she doesn't even give you the starter Pokemon in the game. So in my opinion, I don't like this character at all. So Sonya is one of my favorite characters in the game. We saw her grow a lot in the game, and her cutscenes focusing on her were really good. This character seemed like the true professor of the region, and in my opinion, she really is. She has a huge connection to the story, and she gives us a look at the history of Galar, as well as what makes the character get to know more about the region. Sonya is a really amazing character in the game, and one of my favorites in the whole series. Well, the champion of this region is Leon, who is Hop's older brother. Leon was a great champion, as we get to see him quite a bit in the story, which is something that makes the champion of a region one of the best. For example, Diantha is one of my least favorite champions because we barely get to see her in X and Y, whereas Cynthia is my favorite champion because we get to see her a lot in the Sinnoh games, and Leon is a great champion. His team is great, and just like what I said with Hop, I love his interaction with his younger brother. So in Sword and Shield, the designs of both the male and female characters are some of the best. I don't remember what the guy's name is, but the girl is Gloria, and these designs look like they come from a UK based region. Character customization is back in Sword and Shield, and it's at its peak. You can now put on makeup, change bags, hair color, hats, accessories, shirts, and make the whole character stand out and look different to other people's. Not to mention the player character finally gets a whole personality with the league cards, which is pretty cool. Let's talk about the Pokemon League and the gyms in the game. Now the Pokemon gyms have returned in this game, which I'm very happy to see, as I prefer the gyms over the trials we had in Sun and Moon. And I really like the gym challenges inside. They are more unique compared to other gyms, and I love how the gyms are a huge stadium in this game, which is a great reference to the UK, as football or soccer is the most popular sport in the UK, and it makes me feel so pumped and hyped when I have a gym match and the crowd is cheering. You can even have a personalized number on the back of your gym uniform, which is a football uniform, and I find that really cool. Honestly, the gyms in this game are definitely the best in the series, and I really like the gym leaders in the game, with my favorites being Nessa, Piers, and Alistair. The Pokemon League was the thing I was the most hyped about in this game, because we finally have a league similar to the Pokemon leagues in the anime, with it being a big tournament. It was really fun, and I hope we can get a feature like this where you battle trainers worldwide to compete and get the Champion Cup, and then become the league champion. And this definitely is the best Pokemon League in the whole series. Let's move on from the gyms and the league and talk about the Pokemon in the region. Now yes, it is kinda sad that the national dex is gone, but it doesn't matter that much to me. I feel like people over exaggerated over this when it got revealed that we found out that the national dex was cut. People made such a big deal with this, and it was disappointing that the community was acting like this. Now the Pokemon that were in the game were a good choice. Sure, not every region starter Pokemon returned, but Alola and Kanto were still great choices, and the returning Pokemon did seem appropriate to the Galar region in some way. Now the new Galar Pokemon in this region are really good. I love all three of the starter Pokemon, even if I was disappointed with Sobble's final evolution at first, but in the end they all look great. The Pokemon in this region look very fitting to Galar, but what disappoints me the most is that there are only 3 legendary Pokemon in the game: Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus. This is the least amount of legendaries we have gotten from any region, and it would have been much better if we just would have gotten a few extra ones. Now, just like what we got on Alola, the region gives us an exclusive regional form that now has a new evolved form. This is a really cool feature, and some of my favorite Galarian forms include Galarian Ponyta and Rapidash, as well as Galarian Linoone and Farfetch, which have new evolutions, being Obstagoon and Surfetch, which I really like. So the big gimmick of this region is Dynamaxing / Gigantamaxing. Now I prefer Mega Evolutions, but Dynamaxing is just okay to me. It's better than Z-moves, but it was so underutilized, and I really don't like how you can only get Gigantamax form from raid battles. It really was a disappointment, but I still sort of like it, and especially love the animation of Dynamaxing, and the Gigantamax forms we got were really cool. Speaking about the animations, let's talk about the graphics and animations of this game. Now this game looks really good. It may not be the best looking Switch game out there, but places like the wild area look really good. Even the Pokemon models got updated, and right now you guys are seeing a comparison of what the models look like from Sun and Moon, the Let's Go games, and Pokemon Sword and Shield. They look great. There are some new animations such as the Brave Bird animation, which is nice to see but wasn't necessary. Although I do admit the trees in this game don't look very good. So the wild area is definitely my favorite feature of these games, and probably my favorite feature in any Pokemon game to date. The wild area looks stunning, and I just love the added 3D camera. It's just so much fun pissing off wild Pokemon in the area and just running around it. There are even raid area spots, which is a really nice feature, and Pokemon Camp is just so wholesome. I love seeing videos on Twitter and memes of this place, not to mention you make curry in the wild area, which is just so cool. Honestly, I feel like I'm playing Breath of the Wild in the wild area. It's a really great feature. Just like in every Pokemon game, Sword and Shield has some post-game content, which is what you do after you have beaten the Pokemon League, aka the main game, and usually it's either a new area or mode added or just an expanded story. Now recently the post-game content in Pokemon games has been a bit barren, and in games like Black and White, X and Y, and Sun and Moon, and usually the third game in that generation usually fixes the post-game by giving us something more interesting. That's with the case of Sword and Shield. The post-game is a bit disappointing. We have an extended story which introduces 2 new characters, being Swordwood and Shieldbert, I think that's how he said their names, and it's just going around and defeating Dynamax and Gigantamax Pokemon. I do however like what they did with Hop in the post game, where he ended up having a goal of becoming a Pokemon professor. I found that pretty neat. Other than that though, you only have an extra area unlocked in the wild area, which just has high level Pokemon, and the battle tower is unlocked where you can get a type null, and it's basically like the battle tree or battle mansion from X and Y or Sun and Moon. It's a bit disappointing, to be honest. So yeah, that is today's video. Pokemon Sword and Shield improved and brought so many new things to the table to the Pokemon franchise, whilst fixing a lot of issues from previous games. The games look good, and I enjoyed my time playing these games. Sure, there may not be no national dex, but that doesn't hurt the overall experience playing the game. So overall, I give Pokemon Sword and Shield a 9.5 out of 10. Definitely my favorite game released this year, and definitely my third or second favorite Pokemon game. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now I've been working really hard to try to make this the best video on my channel, so I hope you enjoyed watching the video as it has taken me a long time to make this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.